4-6 is short, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be a very exciting fight, and the build-up to it has been amazing.
I like a cup competition, and I also love a penalty shootout.
Look, this is a choice. This is a choice.
Welcome to Weekend Wager, where every Friday afternoon we use in-depth stats and razor-sharp analysis to unearth the best value bets from the upcoming sporting weekend. I'm Will Pugh, and helping me this week is football journalist Kwaku Afari, and a man who knows more about betting than Jurgen Klopp knows about gegenpressing. It's Sam Rosbottom from Betfair. Sam will be judging which of our punts are most on the money, and of course revealing some hidden value wagers of his own. So don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know what you think of our bets in the comments below. Gentlemen, wonderful to see you again. Brilliant show last week. And, lads, 3 winners off of the back of it. None of them were mine. Kwaku, you, sir, were the big winner. 2 wins, both of your football bets coming in. Well played. Wolves to win at Manchester United, nice and brave as always. Villa to win and both teams to score against Newcastle, that 4-1 victory, of course. And you had Wolves to score first, Sam. Well done. And, as I said, didn't I? I was trying to persuade you last week. I said it'd be exactly 5 goals between Wolves and Man United, didn't it?
I am glad I talked you out of that one a little bit, but clearly not enough. I have to apologise to Kwaku because I was adamant that there was no way that, Villa, Newcastle was a good bet, picking a team to win.
I was with you, mate, yeah.
Villa completely blew Newcastle away, but they didn't follow it up against City in the end. Which
he's a bit insufferable in the old Weekend Wager group chat, though, isn't he?
I like the fact you didn't respond to the message, though.
Just
saw it, ignored it completely.
Yeah, got no time for you bragging, mate. No, absolutely not. Look, as always, if you had any winners, let us know in the comments below and what you think of our bets this weekend. Right, gentlemen, some massive football games coming up this weekend. We'll get to the Premier League in due course, do not worry. But we'll start first of all with the FA Cup semi-finals. Crystal Palace versus Aston Villa. Saturday night, 5:15 kick-off. Exciting game. Kwaku, Crystal Palace drew 2-2 at Arsenal. Really good performance, to be fair, from Palace on Wednesday night. Quality goal from Mateta and Eze. And they beat Fulham 3-0 in the quarter-final, of course. Villa going into this off of the back of a defeat to Samuel's beloved Manchester City 2-1 on Tuesday. And of course, they beat Preston 3-0 in the quarter-final. Talk to me about this one, Kwaku.
Yeah, it's hard to gauge Villa, right? Because that was a really good win against Newcastle. Of course, yours truly
He's
picked
bragging
it.
again. He's bragging again. It's embarrassing.
Two for two, mate. You got none of them right. But then you look at the game against your beloved Man City, and they failed to really capitalise on it, like Sam mentioned. But I've gone for Rashford, 3 or more shots, 7-5. And if you look at Marcus Rashford, he's a player rejuvenated at Aston Villa. Emery seems to be getting the best out of him, and the stats back it up as well. Rashford has had at least 3 shots on target in both of his FA Cup starts for Aston Villa this season, which suggests that he's going to be heavily involved if he does start for the side. And Villa manager Unai Emery has progressed from each of the 4 single-legged semi-final cup ties he's managed in. Of course, he's a manager that, in the league, it can be a little bit hit and miss with Unai Emery, but when it comes to cup competitions, he's very, very good. And I expect that to continue at Aston Villa. I expect Villa to win. I expect Marcus Rashford to have a very, very good game.
Yeah, I mean, they're having a brilliant season, aren't they, to be fair? And this presents a real opportunity for them to actually go that one step further and lift the cup that their fans are longing for. I've gone for an interesting one, right? I like a cup competition, and I also love a penalty shootout. So I've gone for the game to be decided via a penalty shootout. 9-2, that one is. Villa have won none of their last 4 matches against Crystal Palace in all competitions, drawn 1 and lost 3 and conceded 13 goals. And Palace knocked them out of the League Cup earlier this season with Spurs, the only side to eliminate them from both the FA and League Cups in the same campaign in 1968-69. Everyone's sort of going for a Villa win here, thinking they're going to go and reach the final. But I can't see it. I think Palace are a little bit more switched on than people give them credit for. A bit of a sluggish start to the season, but coming into their own. Great performance, like I say, very much deserved that point at Arsenal. And I just fancy it'll be a cagey one. Go to pens. What do you reckon, Sam?
I think I like both arguments, but what I will say is Villa have got an unbelievable squad. I think they've got, when you look at the squad depth, one of the best squads in the Premier League. I mean, on Tuesday night, they brought on Ollie Watkins and Marco Asensio.
Yeah.
2 players. I mean, they didn't make a difference in the game in the end, but what 2 players to bring on? So, I can see where you're coming from. I do think it's going to be cagey. It's going to be tight. It's a semi-final at Wembley. These games are always cagey and tight, but I do think Villa will have just enough to get over the line with that squad depth. So I'm going to side with Kwaku on this one. Rashford, like you said, he is a player transformed, isn't he, under Unai Emery? He's playing for his future as well, which is still uncertain what's going to happen with him. He was unfortunate not to score within 20 seconds at the Etihad on Tuesday night when he hit the post. So I think 3 or more shots at 7-5 is a really sound bet, especially if you want to include that in a bet builder. You could as well look to use our brand new build-ups feature, and you could look to match him up against, say, the likes of Mateta or Ollie Watkins, and I think you could get some value in the shots with the build-ups markets there.
Yeah, absolutely. So what have you got for us?
Yeah, with it being, cagey, like I said, semi-final, tight, I can see set pieces being absolutely crucial in this one, and Villa have a good couple of threats in their team. Looking at their centre-halves, Tyrone Mings, Ezri Konsa. I am going to side with Konsa, though, to have a shot at 5-4. I think that's a really nice bit of value, especially when we're looking at corners. He's had 4 shots in his last 4 games. If you wanted to boost odds even more, you could potentially look to get him in there to have a shot on target. He's had 4 shots on target in his last 9 matches, so he is getting up there. I think it's going to be tight and cagey, and I think it could be one of those where defender pops up and makes a difference.
Yeah, I do like that one, Sam. I think you might have shouted that earlier this season. He does tend to get in the mixer, doesn't he, Ezri Konsa? And I backed it earlier this season, and I think I might be following suit this weekend, that's for sure. Look, as always, if you're having a bet this weekend, please play responsibly and take time to think. Visit begambleaware.org.
Told you I was right.
Gentlemen, in seasons gone past, Liverpool versus Tottenham would have been a battle for European places in the top end of the league. Spurs are having a catastrophically bad domestic campaign, doing okay, of course, in the Europa League. So first plays 16th at Anfield on Sunday, 4:30 kickoff. Liverpool, of course, can secure the Premier League title with just a draw after Arsenal dropped points against Palace this week. It means they don't even have to win to lift the Premier League title. So huge expectation at Anfield, of course, for the fans who weren't able to be there in the ground last time they did that during COVID. Kwaku, Spurs lost 2-1 at home to Nottingham Forest on Monday. Liverpool won 1-0 at Leicester. That awesome Trent Alexander-Arnold goal. What are you saying?
For Spurs, any hope of progressing or getting decent results in the league, forget about it. It's all about the Europa League. So I'm very much backing Liverpool in this one. I've got Liverpool to score over 2.5 goals, 4-6. And Liverpool have been by far the best team in the Premier League this season. Arne Slot's done a fantastic job since coming in. I don't think people expected this. And in terms of goal scoring, Liverpool scored at least 1 goal in each of their last 29 Premier League games. And that's a run stretching back to September when they lost 1-0 at home against Nottingham Forest. Their only home defeat this season. Of course, Anfield is a fortress. It's also the second longest scoring streak in a single campaign after Arsenal, who scored in all 38 games in the 01-02 season. Of course, Arsenal won the league that year. We all expect Liverpool to win the league this year. And on the Spurs side of things, they've conceded 10 goals against Liverpool this season, losing 6-3 in the Premier League earlier on this season and 4-0 in the League Cup semi-final second leg. So it's not a great matchup for Spurs. We expect Liverpool to be in celebratory mood at Anfield on the weekend. I expect them to score a few goals as well.
Sam, I'm sure there's rules on this show that we're not allowed to back odds on bets. Isn't that a rule?
4-6 is short, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, certainly one for a bet builder, I'd say.
Well, exactly, yeah. Listen, not that mine's that much braver, to be fair. I've gone for Mo Salah, 3 or more shots on target, just 2-1. So, not quite the bravest bet there. But I think there's some value in that, at 2-1. Salah's had 7 shots, in his last Premier League game. That 1-0 win against Leicester, like we spoke about already. And he had 4 shots on target the last time Liverpool played Spurs in the League Cup, and that was that 4-0 victory for Liverpool then. I really fancy that. I think 2-1, Sam, is fairly decent value there.
Yeah, I can't disagree. I mean, I like both of them, and I would be rolling both into a bet builder. Absolutely, no doubt about that. But if I am going to have to side with one or the other, and if we're taking value into consideration here, I'm probably going to have to go with Will on this
Is
one.
that fourth choice? You can't be backing 4 to 6s. That is
Like you said,
outrageous.
though, Anfield's going to be jovial, celebratory mood. Spurs, while their eggs are very much all in the Europa League basket, are going to want to spoil a little bit of the party. So they might want to stink the place out a little bit. I'm thinking fouls here and there. And if there's a player who absolutely loves a little niggly foul, it is James Maddison. Yeah. And for him to commit 2 or more fouls at 6-4 is something that I really like. And again, wouldn't be opposed to rolling that into a bet builder. Looking at Maddison, he's committed 7 fouls in his last 3 Premier League appearances. So again, he could be the one for the fouls.
Yeah, I like the sound of that, to be fair. Sam, we've got another interesting stat for you here. The last 11 Premier League titles have been won by managers who are either bald or have had a hair transplant. Now, can you give us any insight into, is there just a bit more brains going on under there?
Well, I don't want to give all of the bald union secrets away, but look, this is a choice. This is a choice. Yeah. Hair transplant, not quite for me. I can't speak on any any authority when it comes to winning titles with hair transplants. But those baldies are pretty good.
Didn't fancy a transplant or?
No, but if there are any companies in Turkey watching this,
I think
I'll come in for the next week's show and have a full head of hair. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, you're sitting next to the man with one of the greatest barnets we've ever seen, bearing in mind. So, look, let us know what you think of our bets in the comments below and what wagers you're having on the footy this week.
Told you I was right.
Gentlemen, it's that time of the show again for anyone who fancies a flutter on something other than the beautiful game. It's the non-football section, and of course only one place to go this weekend, the boxing at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. A bitter family feud will be settled, or so goes the PR lines coming out of
will it be settled in this one or the rematch or the trilogy? Which one? What's it going to be?
They're literally printing money.
Exactly that. Yeah, Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. Of course, some real bad blood in the build-up to this one. Sometimes these fighters sell the fights, don't they? And you can tell they're playing up a bit. You can tell there's some real needle between the pair of them, can't you? So, Sam, what have you got for us?
Yeah, this is a really interesting one, obviously, for everything that's gone on in the build-up to this. This fight has been in the making for some time. Chris Eubank Jr. is the 8-13 favourite going into this one. Conor Benn, 13-10. Obviously, we have to talk about the weights in this one as well. It's middleweight, so something that Eubank Jr. is very much used to, having past couple of fights at that weight. Conor Benn having to come up 2 weight classes. So really interesting there. And I think that's probably why the market is siding very much with Eubank Jr. However, that being said, there is this hydration clause in, isn't there? So no fighter is allowed to gain a further £10 between the final weigh-in and the fight itself, which is something that Eubank Jr. has done in the past. So this is something that, again, is a little bit new for him, which is why, for me, there could be a little bit of value here in getting Conor Benn on side. We have odds boosted him to win by TKO or KO at 23-10. Now, when you look at the records, these guys do love knockouts. Conor Benn, he's got a record of 23 wins, 14 knockouts, no losses, so he's in good form. That's appealing to me. Equally, something else, if you want to get history on your side, obviously when we talk about this big family feud, the draw, famously back in 1993, the two fathers, it was a draw, 16-1 for the draw, and obviously the narrative would go on then, wouldn't it? And there'd be a rematch, there'd be another purse, so that's something that could be tempting. But equally, again, looking at that history angle, Eubank Jr., 9th round stoppage, 13-1, which would replicate Eubank Senior in 1990 with that first win of his.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. We had Chris Eubank Senior in this very studio, actually, talking to Sun Sport this week, and he's still saying he doesn't think the fight should be going ahead. He thinks it's unfair because of the weight advantage. But I'm talking to a few people in the know, especially Sun's boxing correspondent, Wally Downs, only last night, actually, and he can't see any way that Eubank doesn't get the job done here. What are you saying?
I agree. I think if Conor Benn gets it done, he gets it done early. And I think people start to question Eubank's chin, which has not been as legendary as his father's, but he's got a very good chin because of the knockout loss against Liam Smith last year or a couple of years ago. But I think that Eubank's just got too much experience. Has been at a higher level than Conor Benn. And we don't know what Conor Benn will look like if he drags it into deep waters, Eubank. So I expect Eubank to win on points. But it's going to be a very exciting fight, and the build-up to it has been amazing.
Told you I was right.
Well, that's it for this week's episode of Weekend Wager. Make sure you give this video a like. Let us know what you think of our bets in the comments, and subscribe to Sun Sport's YouTube channel to make sure you never miss an episode. Follow Sun Sport and Sun Football on socials for all your latest clips and news, and we'll see you back here next week. As always, if you're having a bet this weekend, please play responsibly and take time to think. Visit begambleaware.org.